Well, folks, back in the shop here, just with a wrap up of the 40 position tool holders I've made for my lathe quick change. Um, First, I want to shout out to Cam at the Battler. Without his drawing, it would have been much more challenging. Just figuring out the teeth, the spline, and the pitch circle, basically. So, anyways, all done. Couple comments if you're going to build these. These are very time consuming to make. That's probably why they're so expensive. um, but what I would recommend if you're going to build them, and I probably should have listened a little closer to Cam's video at the end there. I probably wouldn't have cut the slots in them. I probably would have left that to the last and actually particularized the slot for the tool I was using it for, because I have now 13 of them and I don't see myself changing the tools a lot. But I think it would have been a little better to actually have them fitted to the tool. Maybe not. But anyways, for a job that it took me probably 70 or 80 hours to build. My background is I took machine shop trade school 37 years ago, and that's the only machining I've done in 37 years. Is basically a 2-year program. So I found this was a bit of a challenge, but I'm glad I took it on. I learned a lot. It's funny how after 37 years of having no machining or doing no machining, that it all kind of came back. Um, Time consuming doing repetitive jobs like making the nuts with squares and the little adjusters and locks, and this stuff all takes a lot of time. And when you're only coming out into the shop in the evenings and maybe a little bit on the weekends, it tends to take a little bit of time. One of my videos, my first videos, or maybe my second, I talked about grinding the tool to cut the spline ways. And what I built was just quickly on the shaper was a little jig, 51 degrees. I made the first ones wrong. I made them 39. So the second ones I made 51 degrees, and that was used to grind the angles on the tool bit to match the angles on the spline. And I got to be honest, it took me probably 10 minutes to make on the shaper, and it saved me a lot of time with the grind. It didn't take long at all to grind the tool, and fortunately, the tool was only required to be ground once. There's the tool that I used. You see a little chip breaker on the end there. It was really worked really well, and no sharpening needed to cut all them holders. So as you can see, I've kind of beefed up the toolbar for shaping, for slotting, and that worked really good. Added a lot of strength. Got a reference mark here to line the tool up, so the angle was on center, and worked really well. Really pleased with the shaper. It worked extremely well. Setup took a little bit of time, but overall, it was a good job. Anyways, that's probably all for now. And if you have a chance to check out Cam at the Battler, his YouTube channel is super. He's a really smart engineer and machinist, building some really neat stuff, and always got some great videos. And again, thanks to him for the drawing. It would have been challenging without. That's all for now, and maybe we'll get back in the shop in the next couple of weeks. Oh, just one more thing. We're going to take a quick walk around the shop just to see what I'm working with for tools. Got a nice standard modern 1334 Canadian built. I'm in Canada here, so it's a super lathe. It came out of school, so it's been relatively well cared for, not beat up too much. I don't think it has too many hours on it, but works really well. Got it connected to a VFD. It's 3-phase. I only got single phase power, and that really is nice with the variable speed. Got some controls down here, jog, variable speed, reverse, coolant pump, so on and so forth. But great lathe. It's a metric lathe that has all the gearing to cut standard threads also. But at first I was a little hesitant to buy a metric lathe where most of the stuff is standard. But you know what? It actually works out better. It's a slick rig. Over here I've picked up a kind of an older, worn out. I wouldn't say worn out, but well-worn Bridgeport mill with a DRO, thankfully, and some power feed. But that tends to work pretty good. Got some wear though, for sure. And then of course one of my favorite tools here is my my Invicta shaper, 14-inch. This is an awesome machine. Got a smoking deal on it, to be honest. Again, something that hasn't been used much, very little wear. Hooked to a VFD. That's a 3 horsepower, and that works really well. It's a 14-inch. I think the table moves 18 inches left to right, and up and down probably, I don't know, probably a foot. But it's got 6-speed gearbox, but with the variable speed on the VFD, you can pretty well pick any stroke you want. Feeds are 10 thou to 60 thou per stroke. I wish it was probably a 5 thou, but it still is a really nice finish. In fact, all these tool holders were shaped. The shapes were shaped on the shaper and finished on the shaper. And as you can see, the finish is really nice. I like it actually more than the milling machine. It creates really nice flat surfaces, square, and can take some fairly heavy cuts. You know, I've taken 150 thou per stroke, or depth of cut, and then the 10 to 20 thou per stroke. So you can remove some materials really fast. In fact, when I cut this out before I finished it with the boring bar on the milling machine, I had them all. They were chunked like that and cut in length and gouged out, and it saved a lot of time over trying to do them with a boring bar or even an end mill. They're really quick. Anyways, that's all for now, and maybe we'll see you in a couple weeks with another project.